All right, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a good Monday, or you had a good Monday morning. Let's get going. So we are going to start. Let's start on our back. So a little bit more chill and relax. Hopefully it was a fun weekend, but maybe it was a little bit hectic and crazy. And maybe let's start with a little bit of downtime. So just start on our backs. Let's bring those feet a little bit wider, knees together. One hand rests on the stomach, one hand on the chest. Let's just pause here just for a moment. And now let's bring those arms out to a T. We're gonna walk those feet about hip distance apart. And then just drop the knees over to the right side. Bring it back to center. Drop those knees over to the left side. Bring it back to center. So keep that core tight. We're gonna drop the knees to the right and center, to the left and center. We want the abs to be tight, that core tight, protecting that low back as we just bring the knees from one side to the other. Okay, now let's lift those knees up. So those knees are stacked right over those hips. Okay, now shins are parallel to the ground, arms stay out in that T. Let's bring the knees over to that right side. So the shins are hovered. Inhale, bring it back up. And then we'll bring it over to the other side. Inhale it back up. So get over to the right, center, to the left, and center. Let's go a couple more times. Over to the right. So maybe get a little bit lower. Bring it back up to the other side. Bring it back up. Let's go one more time. Each way. Over to the right, center, over to the left, and center. Okay, now hug those knees in, rounding through that spine. Then we're going to extend those legs out, reach those arms overhead. So if you want a little bit more core engagement, keep the legs and shoulders lifted. If that's a little aggressive, just lower the legs down, reach through those fingers, keep that low back. So we don't want this space right here. You want to press that spine down as hard as you can. And then curl it back in. Extend it out. Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold. And just lower those feet down. Feet are about hip distance apart, knees are bent, arms are by the sides. Walk the shoulder blades together. Press, lift those hips up. So we're scooping that tailbone up. That rib cage pulls down. That core is really, really tight. And holding it for another breath. And slowly roll it back down. That tailbone will be the last thing that lowers. Let's hug that right knee into the chest. And grab onto that outside of that foot. Now you can start, or you can keep that left leg bent to start. Okay, just bringing this right knee right outside that shoulder as we pull that knee down, pull that shoulder back down towards the socket. And then we can just slide that left leg forward a little bit more. Maybe we extend that leg a teeny tiny bit more. And then let's release it. So hug both knees in. Let's go into that hip bridge to lower those feet down. Lifting those hips up. We're going to hold it for 5 breaths. Last one in. And exhale, slowly lower it down. Okay, now we're going to hug that left knee in. So bring that knee right, kind of right outside the shoulder. Reach for that outside edge of the foot. And we'll pull that knee down towards the ground. If you want to slide that right leg out a little longer, you can. Let's lower that foot down. One last hip bridge. Lift it up, hold. Trying to scoop that tailbone as much as you can. Feel that extension through the hip flexors and not through that low back. And now walk those feet a little bit closer together. Okay, not quite touching, just a little bit narrower than hip distance. We're gonna extend that right leg out. I just extended my left leg instead of right leg, but either way, it's fine. Go ahead and lower it down to the other side. And down, and switch. So let's go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Roll it on down. Hug those knees back into the chest. Maybe give it a little rock from side to side. Now let's keep that right knee and left leg extends out. Let's twist it across. So the right knee just goes across the body. Right arm reaches out, shoulder stays down. And bring it back up. Let's go to the other side. Twisting that left knee across towards that right side. Bring that knee back up. Roll it up to a seat. Okay. Just crossing those legs, reaching those arms up overhead. And let's find that side stretch over to that right side. So left arm reaches up and over. Just, gently gazing up underneath that arm. Inhale, bring it back up to the other side. Reach it up and over. Bring it back up. Let's go 2 more times each way. Bending it over to the right. Inhale it up to the left. And inhale it up 1 more time. Each side. Back up to the other side. Bring it back up. Now we can just keep our thumbs pointing forward, our fingertips pointing back. Lower those fingertips down towards the mat. Lifting through that chest. So you're working towards drawing those the heads of the shoulders back. That chest is really opening up and expanding. And if you want to interlace those fingers behind the back, so those palms are facing each other, draw those knuckles down, and then bring those hands away from the hips. And let's release those arms. Bring those hands forward, okay, keeping those legs crossed. You can just stagger them a little bit. So I just walk my right foot out a little bit more so that ankle bone isn't getting pressed into the mat. And I just walk my hands forward, just folding, keeping the back as flat as you can and grounding through those hips as much as you can. And then bring it back up. Let's go ahead and switch that cross. And then just slide those hands forwards. Just stretching out through that outer hip. Lifting. So we want to lift that chest, but we're trying to lift kind of this low back. Okay, or flatten out through this low back, more of a hinge from the hips, and just a rounding through that spine to get into that position. And now let's come on to a hands and knees, tabletop. Let's go ahead and step it back. We're going to hold this plank. Go about 10 seconds. Really tight through the legs. Belly is tight, glutes are tight, chest is pulling forward, pressing those shoulder blades away from each other. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. Send those hips back. A slight bend in those knees. We're going to walk those hands back to our feet. Hold it here in that forward fold. Screen. Find that flat back, so maybe you bring those hands to the shins. And then slide those hands down maybe a little bit further. And then walk those hands forward to a plank. Okay, we're gonna do a push-up. So maybe come onto the knees if you need to, lower shoulders, height of the elbows, press it back up, and then we'll pop those hips back up. Slight bend those knees, walking those hands back to those feet. Find that half lift, and then walk it forward back to our plank. Push up, down dog, and then back to that forward fold, back of the mat. And last time, let's walk those hands forward. And push up, down dog, and then walk it back. Just a little inchworm here. Just let the head and the arms hang heavy. And let's walk those hands forward. We're gonna do a few more push-ups. We're gonna do 5 of them. That's just a little strength through those arms, a little warm up through that upper body. Here we go. So lower, shoulders high to the elbows. Let's go. 5, 4, 3. Just go as low as you can. 2, and 1. One more. Lower down, all the way to the ground. Point those toes. Roll the shoulders down and back, so lifting up into that cobra. If you want to lift up a little bit higher, so a little more stretch through the hip flexors and through the abs. Just one thing we want to make sure of is we don't want to be collapsing where our shoulders are right by those ears. We're going to pull those shoulders down, lift up through that chest. And then from there, let's bring it on back to a down dog. And that down dog, just pedal those feet, so a little calf stretch. So let's bend into that right knee. Press that left heel down towards the mat. And then we'll switch sides. So bending into that left knee, right heel presses down. And then let's walk those feet up to the hands. Okay. Fingertips are on the ground. So bending those knees as much as you need to get those hands down and that back flat. And then we're gonna lift that left leg up. Keep those hips nice and level. So I don't want the toes turning out towards the side. I want the toes turning down towards the mat. Now we'll take a big step back with that foot. Knee lowers down. Arms are reaching up. So that rib cage pulls down. And then press those hips forward. So big stretch through that hip flexor. Let's bring those hands to heart center. Okay, down in our chest. And then we're going to twist. So hips press forward first. Lean it forward. And then twist that left tricep across that knee. Press. Lift a little more, looking over that elbow. And now bring it back to center. Let's straighten that front leg. Pull the right toes back. And then just fold over that right side. And then we bend into that knee. And step that foot forward. Flatten out that back. You're going to lift that right side up. Point those toes down. Take that big step back. Lower that knee down. Inhaling those arms up. Pull that rib cage down. Press those hips forward. And then bring the hands to heart center. Hover that chest. And then twist. And then bring it back to center. Straighten that front leg. Pull those toes back as we fold. Good. Then rebend into that knee. Let's go and step it forward. Just letting the head, the arms, the body hang heavy. Let's come all the way up to standing. Okay, reach those arms up. Now we're going to take a big step back again with that left foot. This time that the heel is going to stay lifted, that knee is going to stay lifted, and then we're going to bend into that front knee. Now, if this is a little bit too much for you, feel free to go into that position that we were in before, the lunge with the back knee on the ground. Same idea. We're going to bring the hands to heart center, and we're going to twist. Hook that left elbow across, really strong through that back leg, pressing into those arms as we look over that shoulder. And now we'll untwist, back heel lowers down, Okay, so might have to shorten the stance a little bit. Toes are turned out just a few degrees. Hips are squared off to the front. Back is flat. Tiny, tiny bend in this front knee as we fold. Just bring the hands to the shin or maybe all the way down towards the ground. Keep pulling that right hip up and back. Left hip's gonna come forward. Gotta go ahead and step that left foot to meet the right. Fold. Rise back up. Okay, stepping that right foot back. So we're going to be on the right toes. We're bending into that front knee. Arms are reaching up. Lunge a little deeper. Then bring those hands to heart center as we twist, hooking that right elbow across that left thigh. Core is tight, so we twist. Look over that shoulder. Bring it back to center. Back heel lowers down, hips square off. Just a tiny bit in that front knee. Back is flat. The hips and sacrum are nice and flat as we fold. Whew. Good, now step both those feet to the top of the mat. Find that flat back. And fold. Now again, we're gonna take a big step back with that left foot, but this time we're gonna walk that right foot out. So it's on the edge of your mat. If you don't have a mat, you just want enough room for your shoulders to be inside the knee. Now those hips are pressing forward. Okay, I'm extended out through this back hip flexor. So basically what I do is I curl my toes under, I lift that knee up and I kind of wiggle that foot back. So I have this, even I'm feeling a stretch through this left hip flexor as well. Now start to lower down, kind of into a push-up position. So bending those elbows, and then maybe your elbows come all the way down onto the forearms. If that's too aggressive, just stay on those hands. Flatten out that back as much as you can. If you want this knee to press out a little bit, you have that option as well. It switches that stretch from, you'll still get it in the inner thigh and the hamstring, but you'll also get, I'm feeling it right here in this outer hip as well. Good. Come back to the hands. Again, hamstring stretch. So straighten that front leg, folding over. Now lift the chest up a little bit. So come onto the left fingertips, and we're going to twist. Right arm is going to reach up. And then lower that hand down. Stepping both feet top of the mat. And then let's step it back with that right leg. So sort of adjusting those feet. So walking that left leg over to that left side of the mat. Again, maybe lift that back knee up. Wiggle those right toes back a little bit more. So we got a big extension through this hip flexor. Okay, now going into that push up. So lower, bring it back up, lower, and then maybe making your way down onto those forearms. Nice flat back. And now you can flex that foot, come onto that outside edge of that foot as we lift that knee. Just press open to that right side. So now think the right knee is pressing open. The hips are not swaying over to that left side. Okay. The hips are staying towards that midline of the mat. Okay, now come back to those hands. Straighten that front leg. Pull that toe back. We want the hands right underneath the shoulders. Plant that right hand, twisting, left arm reaches up. And then lower that hand down. Just go ahead and come back. 2 hands and knees at tabletop. Let's do some cat-cows as we finish this off. So inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone, look up. Exhale, round. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, round. Good, now bring it back to neutral spine. We're gonna sit back onto our toes. So curling those toes. So we wanna be sitting on the toes, not on the tops of the feet. Okay, sit back here. So start kind of like you would be coming into a child's pose with just the toes curled under. Okay, maybe you stay here. Maybe that's enough weight on your feet that you start to feel that stretch to the toes and the bottoms of the feet. Big thing here is don't let those ankles bow out to the side. We want to think ankle or your Achilles tendons are pointing straight up. Now, if you want to, just go and sit back all the way onto those heels, or you might find maybe a happy medium, kind of with your hands resting on those knees. But let's pause it here. Relax those shoulders down, sit tall, breathe. I know maybe for some of you, it's not going to take very long before you're feeling this. So just relax, breathe. Stretch out those feet. If you did a lot of walking or running this weekend, this might be a little aggressive. Just a little bit longer. And slowly come out of it. Let's give those toes a little wiggle, little circles through those ankles. And then let's come to a seat. Let's finish off with some twists. So reaching those arms up overhead. Let's twist it over to that right side. Sit tall on that inhale. Exhale, twist. Bring it back to center. Reach those arms up. And to the other side. And bring it back to center. Reach it up. And twist. And up. And twist. And one more time. Reach those arms up. And twist. And center. And twist. And now bring it back to center. Interlace those fingers behind the back, or just bring those fingertips down towards the mat. Open up through that chest. Big stretch through the front of the shoulders. And release. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a great day. We have power yoga or intermediate yoga this afternoon at 4:45, so a 45-minute class. So if you guys are interested in that, you are all welcome to join. So hope to see you all there. If not, have a great day.